Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and today I want to briefly talk about upping a microSD card in a Nintendo Switch, and that's any model Switch, whether that's the Lite or the original or the V2 or the OLED. It's a very easy thing to do. So I've had my Switch Lite for a few weeks, and when I bought it I put in a 128 gig microSD card. I thought that would be plenty big enough, but just 2 weeks later I've filled it. In fact, I've got some games that I've bought that I can't actually get on the console, and I went about looking at how to upgrade the card, preferably without losing everything that was on it. I did this on a modded Vita a few weeks ago, and it was an absolute nightmare. But I think that's because it's a Vita for a start, and it was modded, so there's a lot of trickery going on and things. But with a Switch, it's so much easier. First of all, turn off your Switch. Then take out the old microSD card, pop in the new, larger microSD card, turn the Switch back on, go into the settings and format the card in the Switch, just so you know that it is in the right format for the Switch to handle, and then turn your Switch off again. Now you've got two options here. You could either leave the microSD card in and re-download everything from the store. I had about 116 gig. I thought that was going to take quite some time to do. So instead I decided I was going to take my old card, put it in a card reader, take the new card, put that in a card reader as well, put the both into my laptop and just copy from one to the other, and that worked. On the new card that you've already then put in your Switch, you'll see a Nintendo folder. I deleted that and then dragged the one from the old card onto it and just let it go. Now, I've said I've got about 116 gig, and it took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to copy everything across, and then it was fingers crossed whether it would work. Well, it did. Not a single problem at all. All the games were still there. I had a couple of games that wouldn't fit on the microSD card, so that just then started to bring those in onto the new card. And I went from 128 gig to 256 gig. It took about a couple of hours, then including the two games which were quite big that I then downloaded from the store. I've got about 95 gig left on this new card, so that's great. It's a very, very easy process to do. All your stuff should be there. It really isn't that complicated. If you don't want to go down the copying from one card to another, you can simply pop the new card in your Switch and just go into the eShop and do a re-download software, and it will bring them all in, depending on your speed of internet connection as to how long that takes. But if you're sitting there with a Switch and it is full and you've got games that you want to install, or just you just want to install more games, then it is a very easy process just to go from one to the other. Absolutely hassle-free. It worked first time. I've not had any issues. I've gone and played some of the games that were copied across, so you've got things like Doom, Bulletstorm. They played perfectly well beforehand, and they played perfectly fine with the upgraded card. So that should be it for me. 256 is pretty big. Like I said, I've got about 90 gig, and I think I've pretty much downloaded most of the big games I want from the store. I'm sure there'll be some games in the future that I want, and maybe if I get into this point again, I may upgrade to a 512 gig, but it will be the same process. So it's very easy, and depending on how much data you've got to copy across will depend on how long it will take. But like I said, it took me about an hour and a half to copy 116 gig across from one micro SD card directly to another. I'm using a laptop, so it's got a card reader built in, so one card went in there, and then the other card went in a little USB reader, and I did it that way. So there you go. If you ever wondered about upgrading the card in your Switch, it's a very, very easy process, and it's well worth doing. I hope that helps. Like, subscribe, enjoy.